Earthquake. Sorry, we haven't set the camera up where we needed it to be.
We were chit-chatting.
Got talking.
We got
We
distracted.
need to set alarms. That's what we really
I
need.
have like 5 alarms on my computer reminding me of the thing.
We need like a siren or something that goes off.
What's this little cricket?
Yeah.
Well, that's a close-up.
Hello. That way. It's always hard because everything's backwards.
Also helps that I move you around.
I was looking at the gong, not you.
It's probably for the best.
Anyway, we were talking about
You
what?
got rid of my distraction.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Was that on purpose?
Yep.
Because you get distracted by it.
I don't get distracted by it, but
It's because I get distracted by
I
it.
start just staring at it.
It's true. Straight up.
Kind of glaze over.
So, good to see you guys back. We were pretty excited to announce the 45-day challenge winner on Friday.
Yeah.
It was pretty exciting. Some massive changes by the all the people that entered the contest. I don't even know how many pounds were lost over the previous 45 days, but it was super awesome. So,
Pounds lost. Mine's changed.
yeah, mine's changed and inches lost and everything. It was just
Yeah.
a super awesome experience, and we're looking forward to doing the next one in the fall. So, yeah, they're really good. So, this week or today, I'm talking about don't quit.
Yeah.
Don't be a quitter. Unless, of course, you smoke. Then be a quitter.
Then you should.
Then
Yes.
you should be a quitter. Absolutely.
Expensive habit.
It is a very expensive habit. So, so what do we mean by don't quit? Like, what is the rationale? I mean, everybody's heard that before. Everybody's like, you know, we've all heard that if you have perseverance, then you're going to be successful, and we've all heard if you don't quit something, then you'll achieve your goal and all that stuff. But why is it so important that we don't quit things?
Why? Well, simply put, it's because a lot of people, they try doing something new or something different that they've never done before, and they like everyone who starts something new, they suck at it, or it gets hard, right? Or it's hard because you suck at it, right? And which is that's the way it is when you first start something. You're not going to be good at it, and it's going to be difficult. And if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So when you're trying something new,
Actually, that's not even true. Even if it's easy,
yeah,
not everybody's going to do it
That's
because
true.
people will quit. It's amazing. Like
Yeah.
even things that are super simple that you should be doing every day, they just stop. People just stop doing it. Yeah, it was like the other thing that happens too is if something works,
oh, you
then you
stop
stop doing it.
Yeah.
So we had a
I've
funny
done that
saying.
so many.
We had a funny saying in real estate that whenever we were doing something in advertising, we did something until it started working. Then we stopped doing it because we got too busy. Yeah, we get too busy, and then we're running around and we forget to do the thing that actually created the busyness.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we were done dealing with all those things, then we just dive back down again. And then it was like, oh, what was I doing again? Oh yeah, that thing that I quit doing. And then you just go back to it. So you always end up with this insane cycles of ups and downs.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, even if I did like half of the things that I did when I was like super hungry and trying to get the deals and all that stuff, but I did that all the time, I would have been a lot more successful all the time, and it would have been a lot less of the big
Up
waves.
and down. Yeah. And that's the thing, is people, they quit doing things for a variety of reasons. But if you're trying to do something new and something you haven't ever really done before, and it's going to be difficult. And a lot of people, they give up and they quit inches from kind of that breakthrough.
3 feet from gold.
Yeah, right? So
You've heard that story before, right?
it's in Think and Be Rich.
Oh, that's right. So those of you that haven't read Think and Grow Rich, really great book. You should check that out. It's really a lot of mindset stuff, and it was written a long time ago. It was in the 30s.
1937.
Yeah, so
That's the
1937.
Yeah.
So and a lot of the information in that book is very relevant today, even though it was written back in the 30s. Yeah. So anyway, the 3 feet from gold story is basically a guy decided to sell his farm, go up to the Klondike, and start digging for gold because that's what everybody was doing in that time.
It was a gold rush.
Gold rush. So he got a claim, he got all the equipment, did all the stuff, dug a hole, Made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
He did well.
Yeah, he was profitable.
He was profitable, not super profitable, but it got to the point where he was doing the math. He's like, well, I'm not really making any money doing this the way I'm doing it. And so he worked at it for a while and kept on digging. And then finally he just threw his hands up and said, you know what, this isn't working. I'm going to move and I'm just going to go and do something else. So he sold his stuff, went back to wherever he was from. I want to say like Oklahoma was my guess. But what happened was the guy that bought the property called a geologist, and the geologist said, well, judging by all of these factors, it's 3 feet that way for a big vein of gold. And so they started digging, and lo and behold, 3 feet that way, they found the largest vein of gold in the entire Yukon Gold Rush ever been found.
Yeah. Just astonishing. But you know what? Because in that book he talks about this guy who basically sold the gold mine, and the guy talks about it as being kind of the best thing that happened to him was the fact that he actually sold that gold mine and then knew this, because it taught him to just never quit on anything. How to walk in and just never quit. And there's a couple of other stories that are colorful.
He ended up being the only person, and this was back in like the 20 or 30s. He was selling life insurance. Yeah, and he was doing over $1 million in sales. Yeah, back in the 1930s, which is like by today's standard, I mean that's borderline billionaire stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so
that's definitely billionaire.
He didn't. He may not have made his money through the gold mine, but he learned the important lesson of not quitting, and he became the best ever recorded life insurance salesperson on the planet. Yeah, and lived out the rest of his days.
Well, and he was also talking about the mentality of the little girl that stood down this big burly guy that was, it was back in the days of plantations.
Yes,
and the owner of the plantation kind of is, this little girl comes in and says, my mom needs that 50 cents. And he's just tells her basically to go away, but not quite so politely because it was back then. And she basically stood there and refused to leave. And he basically stormed over to her and back those days, he was just going to give her a whooping. And she basically stared him down and was not leaving until she got that 50 cents. And he basically backed down, gave her the money, and then she went on her way. And everyone who knew him was just like, how did that happen? How did she do that? And it was that whole idea that she just wasn't going to quit. She was not taking no for an answer. She got told no, that wasn't the answer she wanted. She just kept going, right? She just would not accept that was the answer. So she just kept going, and she would not quit. And back down the guy that, back in those days had every right to beat her black and blue for being uppity. Yeah. So, yeah, kind of neat, but it's that same mentality of she had one thing that was going to happen. That was the outcome, and she wouldn't quit until she got it.
Yeah, and that's it's a learned behavior that you get over time. When I made the decision that I wanted to own commercial property, I was laser focused on that, and I wouldn't stop at anything until I actually achieved that goal. And Mike was there for much of that, and watched the ups and downs and the hoops that I had to jump through and the challenges with that goal. But because I was just going to do it, there was no doubt in my mind at any point that it was not going to happen. At any point, it was going to happen, and it did. Now the funny thing is, after that happened, I actually became complacent with that laser focus, because I wasn't I didn't have that same after I achieved that goal, I was just kind of oh cool, well, I'm good now,
not hungry.
Yeah, less hungry at least. Yeah. And so I didn't have that laser focus on okay, so this is the thing, I'm going to go and get the thing until I achieve it. Yeah, and so we changed a few things, and now we've refocused to growing the trail martial arts and Castlegar martial arts, and growing that brand, and now that's the laser focus that we're going to be going after. So, but it's interesting, because as soon as you make that decision and you decide that you're going to do something and you're not going to quit, it's re-energizes you in ways that you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like when you really commit to something and you put your money on the line, and you put your, there's lots of fear, there's lots of all that stuff, but I'll tell you what, like I put in more hours in the last 3 or 4 months than I have, in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have more energy. I'm more excited about it. I'm more passionate. So
yeah,
it just changes your whole outlook. So
yeah, it's that feeling that you're actually getting something done, and it's something that you're actually interested in.
Yeah.
Passion. Yeah, but you can't depend on passion to carry you though.
No.
Right? Because
passion's just a fuel.
Yeah, it's a fuel, and the thing that will kill your passion quickly is letting that fear grab a hold of you.
Mm-hmm.
That'll cause you to quit in a heartbeat. And
main reason why people quit.
Yeah, fear of failing and fear of succeeding. It works both ways. But that fear, 9 times out of 10, is completely unjustified or blown out of proportion, right? So, I mean, we had to, for the Castlegar one, had to come up with 20 grand.
Yep.
It's like, oh, well, that doesn't just fall out of the sky, right? And it took a bit of convincing with the wife that this was actually not a crazy idea. And
we weren't just going to go to Vegas and throw singles around.
Because that would have been fun. Whee! But
maybe one day.
Maybe.
Probably not.
It's not that high on my list. But once I got her on board and got her past the fear part of it, then it was so much easier. But she still was very much motivated by the fear driving her of like, what if? And I was just like, well, what's the worst thing that happens is that like we take out this loan, we have a loan for 5 years that costs us $400 a month. Like that's not going to break us. Even if like, like that's it. There you go. That's your exposure. So, and she was just like, oh, and when you kind of put it in those terms, then she realized that it wasn't that scary and that it was
especially when it could be something that would actually turn into more money.
Yes.
Like that's the whole reason that you start a business is that you can take a little bit of money and turn it into something that creates more money over and over again.
Right. So, and yeah, so it was just one of those things, but don't let that fear get in the way because fear, too many people I see, too many people that are too afraid to do anything.
Yep.
And that's their excuse for quitting everything.
For sure.
Just being afraid.
Yeah. And, fear isn't a bad thing. Fear is a good thing as long as you're using it for the right reasons. So for like protecting yourself.
Justified fear.
Yeah. So something that's going to keep you safe. Yeah, that makes sense. Something that and realistically, having a healthy amount of fear will also help you with decision making long term. Like if you have a healthy amount of fear of things going sideways, then you're not going to be the person that falls for everything that comes your way.
Yeah.
So you have to find the mix that works for you and your family.
Yeah.
Because my level of fear is considerably different than even Mike's or a lot of people, because I do things that people look at and think I'm insane, and that's just the part of it was the way I was brought up and the experiences and life experiences that I've had. But the other part is that's what I'm comfortable with. That's the level that I'm comfortable with right now. Now that doesn't mean that's not going to change in the next couple of years. Maybe I'm going to be taking risks with multiple hundreds of thousands or millions or something. Who knows? So, but hopefully.
I see a lot of people that have like unjustified fears. Like we live out in the mountains here, and yes, there's bears, but my mother-in-law is like terrified of bears.
Yep.
Like they're going to be busting down your doors all the time, and like
don't tell them about
breaking into your car to get after one candy or something crazy, and it's like no,
irrational.
Yeah, it's completely unjustified fear, and that's the kind of fear that will lead you to just not being able to do anything in your life. When you let those fears that just are not grounded in any kind of reality, it's just something that you've let grow in your head, and it's taken root and taken over.
Yep.
That's the kind of stuff that will stop you from living a life, essentially.
For sure. And it'll stop you from achieving goals. It'll stop you from taking action in the first place.
Yeah.
Because if you're,
that's what I mean by
if you're terrified of bears, then that limits a pretty large portion of Canada
yeah.
for you to hang out in.
Yeah.
So, and it's the percentage chance of getting attacked or mauled by a bear is.
I had a bear in my front yard a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
I was out there videotaping him.
Yeah, I mean, like if you decided to go and give a grizzly bear a hug, then yeah, you might have a higher percent chance of getting mauled.
Hopefully,
If you tied pork chops around your neck and walked around in the bush, then
you might attract some attention.
yeah, you might. But even then, you'd probably be fine. Probably. I mean, realistically, hunters carry big racks of stuff back when they're hunting. So
Nothing comes in charging out of the bush with them.
no, not so much.
Not usually.
Yeah.
But it's that justified and unjustified fear.
Yeah.
So there's things that you should be afraid of, and then there's things that are just, like you really need to think about what is it you're really afraid of, and like does it even make sense?
Yeah.
Because I've heard some crazy stuff, and like that people are afraid of. I'm just like, why? How? That doesn't even make sense.
Like clowns.
I'm not afraid of clouds, but I can kind of understand that. I mean, it's a person in creepy makeup, like, and giant shoes, and way too happy. They're always way too happy.
So justified fear,
Maybe
not so
Not so-
justified in my opinion. So
more funny.
more funny than anything else.
Yeah.
But the whole premise behind this is don't quit, don't give up. Have that persistence, that drive to keep going even when things get tough. Because chances are, when things get tough, that's when things are about to pop. That's when things are going to change, and you're going to start seeing the results that you want to see. And but you have to have that the grit and the nerve to just keep on pushing through, keep on keeping on.
Yeah, that's also in that book.
Yes, lots and lots of good stuff.
It's a lot of things in that book.
Yeah, it's a really, really good book. So
If you pick up the original version, though, just be warned that it is the original text from 1937. So if you remember how like your grandfather or great grandfather talked about people, that's a lot of the language in there. There's
a little bit of racial stuff.
a
For
little
sure.
bit of racial, yeah. But you just have to remember it's a book of its time.
Yep.
And the ideas in there are not based around that. That's just the culture of the time.
Yep. That's just the way he wrote the story parts. The actual the actual lessons have nothing to do with any of that stuff.
No.
It's more like the filler.
Yeah.
The filler is questionable.
Yes.
The content's good. Filler not so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So just warning if you happen to pick up that book.
That's it for today. And then tomorrow we're talking about determination, which is
Kind of.
pretty similar to what we're talking about. But determination can be taken in a couple different directions. So
Yeah.
so that's pretty much it.
All right.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right.